Do you set boundaries only to watch them collapse? Do people walk right over them, kicking them aside and making themselves at home? Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe they're so high no one ever gets in. Or worse, so treacherous that there's a pile of carnage outside your walls. If your boundaries aren't working for you or anybody else, this one's for you. Hi, I'm Kylie, a retired paramedic, and this is Everyday Ambo, where I share the skills that go beyond the textbooks and clinical skills. I share what the job taught me about being a human. This is lesson number 19. Boundaries are a red flag. Boundaries in adulthood? Most of them were preloaded by childhood. While our brains were plastic and our minds open wide, we were shaped and moulded by how others behaved. Reward and consequences became the wiring between our social brain, our stress response, and our sense of safety. We produce dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, vasopressin to connect. And we produce cortisol, dopamine, norepinephrine to protect. Boundaries are that protection, but they're not always chosen. They're often coded, inherited, and reinforced. And as the pace of life accelerates, many of us are finding that our old boundaries don't work in this environment because they weren't built for it. So we think, I must have been misinformed. But what if the problem isn't that the boundaries are wrong? What if they were built for a world that no longer exists? When I was a student paramedic, I was told to guard my heart. Translation? Armour up. Build boundaries, thick ones. The advice came from a weathered paramedic. Hardened, impenetrable, seemingly untouched. A man with emotional walls higher than most buildings. And I tried to copy him. At first, I thought the uniform was enough. It gave me some of the armour I needed. But the rest, I had to build. And I quickly realised everybody else was still building too. Even the ones teaching me. So if we're all learning, who actually knows what they're doing and is qualified to teach? Parents will know this one. That moment your child holds up a mirror, says something that you wish that they hadn't, in your tone, in your words, and suddenly you see yourself reflected back, it's sobering. Because your boundaries, the ones that you enforced or didn't, are being reinforced on you. And you want to say, oh no, I didn't mean use boundaries with me, I meant use them with other people. And there it is. That's the problem with boundaries. They don't just keep people out, they can also keep you in. Without healthy boundaries, you do one of two things. You trap yourself. No learning, no growth. Or you open the gates wide and invite chaos in. Boundaries are born in fear. What we were born afraid of, what we were taught to fear, what we learned to fear through pain, what was reinforced again and again through trauma. We were told that boundaries are good, necessary, that they test character, that they should be enforced. But enforcement doesn't always work. Not when the other person can't, won't, or doesn't know how. What if the person you're setting boundaries with has a head injury, PTSD, ADHD, or all of the above? What if what looks like guarding your heart isn't wisdom? It's a trauma response, avoidance, numbing, PTSD in disguise. So here's the paradox and what most people miss. A person's boundaries are a red flag. They signal a prior reaction to trauma and they demonstrate how they reacted. Rigid boundaries, where nothing gets in or out, create a hyper-independence, which is an avoidance of more tough stuff. They leave you lonely, disconnected, and distrustful. And they remove the potential to learn by stopping new information at the gates. And this includes information with the potential to heal. And then there are porous boundaries, where surface structures are leaky. Information sneaks in and leaks out. You overshare, people please, and you can't say no. You try to build bonds to avoid trauma. This invites mistakes, gets taken advantage of, and is poorly regarded. And it leaves you burnt out, resentful, and you lose your own identity. This can contribute to existing trauma and create more. Like a red flag to a bull, they invite challenge, because trauma attracts trauma. So here's the thing. Healthy boundaries aren't fences. They're filters. They let truth in and they keep distortion out. They evolve with you. But here's the kicker. You can only enable healthy boundaries when yours get breached, when the ball charges, when fear is triggered. That's the moment that your healing begins. You can't just skip to healthy boundaries. You have to have learned from the unhealthy ones so that you can apply your knowledge. If your boundaries aren't working because you're not as brave as you thought, or you're braver than you realised, or because somebody else didn't get the memo, or because you didn't understand that healthy boundaries are about managing your own emotions so you can connect with others, what's the plan? How are you going to fix your boundaries? Have a think about that one, and I'll see you in the next lesson.